Hey everybody, we are going to be canning tomato sauce today. And this is a part of a series I'm putting together to kind of take the scaries out of canning. And today I'll be working with these hybrid orange tomatoes. They're absolutely gorgeous. They have a slightly acidic but sweet flavor to them, and they make a delicious tomato sauce. And I have a large pot of water boiling over here. It's about 3/4 full, so that when I pop the tomatoes in, it won't overflow. So what we're gonna do first is we are going to core and remove the blemishes from the tomatoes. And I like to always use a rimmed sheet pan to work on, because that way it catches all the extra juice, and if I have enough, I can make a tomato juice and can a small jar of that. So these tomatoes have all been rinsed, and I am going to use a basic apple core and a paring knife, and we are going to go ahead and remove the core. And then you see where we have a couple of little blemishes here, little caterpillar or something, who knows. We're just going to go ahead and remove that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pile these up, and then we're going to pop them in the water for about 30 to 60 seconds. So I have the tomatoes cored with some of the blemishes removed, and I wanted to show you a couple of different things. Sometimes you'll have half of a tomato that's just not quite firm enough. Maybe it's a little mushy. You can just cut that right off and end up with just the other half that's still good. And the second thing is, if a tomato is just too mushy in general, do not use it. It will spoil the whole batch. And unfortunately, I've got nothing for you other than throwing it into the compost. And I am going to carefully put them into the water bath. Put the tomatoes into the water. I like to use a large strainer just so I don't burn myself. Alrighty, so here are the tomatoes that we just pulled out of the boiling water in order to help us peel the skins off easier. I have the same rimmed sheet pan that I used to core the tomatoes, and what I'm going to do is, just because these are very hot, I am just going to slowly pour them onto this rimmed sheet to cool. And I'm going to let them cool for quite a while, because just like potatoes, tomatoes have a lot of water content, obviously, and because of that, they have the ability to really hold heat for quite a while. So I'm going to let these sit for a while and go do something else, and we'll come back and peel these guys. So here we are. It's been about a half an hour, and I started peeling the skins right off the tomatoes, and I just want to show you how easy it is to peel these skins off. This is the best way to do it. The other thing you can do is you can use a food mill, and that will make your sauce velvety smooth. It'll remove the seeds as well as the skins, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way, because I like my tomato sauce a little on the chunky side, and you'll see the end result a little later. So that's what we're going to do, and I'll just keep going through all of the tomatoes until I have a small bowl full. Okay, now it's time to cook the tomatoes. Pop them into a hot pan and add your favorite herbs. I am using a couple of large sprigs of rosemary and thyme. Pop those guys in, or whatever herbs you want to use. Give them a stir, and then cover and simmer. All right, I just pulled the tomatoes off the heat, and you'll see I've left them chunky. I've just also removed the sprigs of thyme and rosemary. There are a couple of little rosemary leaves left in the tomatoes, but that's fine. You'll also note that I've left it quite chunky, and the reason I do that is I like to add texture when I'm ready to make the recipe. So if it's a soup or stew and I want it a little more chunky, I've got that option. If I want it smooth though, I can just pop it in the Vitamix and give it a whirl to give it a more smooth flavor. Same thing with garlic, pepper flake, all of that. But by all means, add whatever spices or fun, interesting recipes you have to these canning jars. So what we're going to do now is we are going to fill them up. Okay, now we're going to put 1 to 2 teaspoons of lemon juice and a pinch of salt into each jar and give it a swirl. That's going to keep the acid level where it needs to be. Now what we're going to do is fill up the jars. Using a ladle and any type of funnel, fill the jars with the warm sauce and make sure that the jars are still warm. Then what we're going to do is we're going to top each one off so it's about a 1/2 inch from the top of the lid. Now gently wipe the top of each jar off, pop on a lid, and then the band. Screw the band just tight enough until it starts to give. This will ensure a tight seal. Pop the jars into the simmering water, lower down, and then cover. Let simmer for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, pick the rack up to half height and take it off the burner. Of course, turn the burner off and let sit for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, remove from the water bath and place onto a clean cloth or a couple of paper towels. Never put them directly on a cold counter. They can explode that way. What we do from here now is we're just going to take and tighten the bands, and we're only going to finger tighten them. They don't have to be any tighter than that. So we're going to take each one, and we're going to tighten it up with our fingers until it just stops giving. Then what we're going to do is we are going to store these in a cool, dry place to eat later. And there you have it, homemade tomato sauce. I hope I've helped take some of the scary out of homemade canning. If you would like other tips and tricks, please feel free to go to verysmartideas.com or follow me on Instagram @verysmartideas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.